Fam, this Mind the Mic podcast is proudly brought to you by Manscaped. Before we get into this episode, I want to give you the opportunity to check out manscaped.com and use our promo code Mind the Mic. That's one word, Mind the Mic, for 20% off plus free shipping across the entire website. That's it. Manscaped.com, code Mind the Mic for 20% off plus free shipping across everything on the website, where you can get cool things just like this. The Lawnmower 5.0. Look, it's even got a light, and you can trim up all them unnecessary hairs, get rid of them. It's actually made for the downstairs, but you can use it for both if you want. They also have beard trimmers, especially for the beard. But this one here is actually made for the downstairs. So get amongst it, get rid of all them loose hairs hanging around down there. And once you've done that, make sure you clean up that nose too. So we got the Weed Whacker 2.0 for the nose. The Weed Whacker 2.0 is for the nose and the ears. We all get annoyed by those hairs, don't we? And we got the Crop Soother. So once you've finished that undercarriage, come get some of this Crop Soother in your life. What's Crop Soother? It's an aftershave for the down there. But I've done it. I've tried it. And it doesn't sting like your dad's aftershave. So you're good to go. And if you want to keep it smelling nice, we've got the Crop Preserver. Deodorant for the balls. That's anti-chafing. Not to mention these are waterproof, fam. So if you're like, yeah, but I like those manual ones because I can use them in the shower. Well, never fear. Manscaped is here. Go hard in the shower. It's waterproof, fam. Good present for your dad, for your brother, your boyfriend, your husband. Well, brothers, treat yourself. Go get you some Manscaped in your life. Use promo code Mind the Mic for 20% off plus free shipping across everything on the website. Enjoy the episode. Make sure you subscribe and get some Manscaped in your life. Mind the Mic. Hey, welcome back to another Mind the Mic podcast. I'm your host, Shubz, here with a special guest that just told me she's a life coach. She's a life coach, but she's going to tell us much more about herself than that. Ari Grant, how are you, sis?
I'm good today. It's good to be here.
Yeah, no, grateful. I guess for the people that don't know you, can you give us a little synopsis on yourself other than a life coach, or you can go deeper into that if you want to?
Yeah, so ko Ariana Grant tōku ingoa, no rotorua ahau, ko Te Arawa Ngāti Pākehā o Ngāpuhi o Kuiwi. Currently living in Rotorua, and I am, yes, a life coach, but I'm not sure that really encapsulates everything that I do and all that I am. I have a background, actually, I lived 10 years in Australia, a background of personal training, managing gyms, a bit of nutrition stuff as well, and brought life coaching into it more towards the end of my career over there, and moved back to Aotearoa in 2020. So since then, I have been developing my own frameworks around helping mainly wahine, but tane as well, reconnecting to who they are as individuals. I like to say I'm a bit of a soul whisperer. I'm able to kind of help people articulate who they are at a soul level and connect to that. And I think the importance of being able to do that is when you are in alignment with your soul and who you truly are, you tend to make choices in life that feel really good. You experience more freedom, you feel more fulfilled, and you inspire others to do the same. And that, you know, me getting to that place of being able to teach people that didn't come without my own challenges and my own journey. So, you know, I've had a few long-term relationships in my life. I've lost my dad to cancer. I've navigated, you know, being brought up in a solo parent home, being brought up in Christianity, and then sort of finding my own spirituality, and then running my own business as well, and navigating the challenges with that, and developing my own frameworks, but also events like retreats and things like that, and just trying to really be the best wahine that I can be for my clients, and almost feeling a sense of obligation that it's my job to continue on my own healing journey, so that the quality of what my clients and the spaces that I create is maintained. And yeah, it's been a massive journey. Lots of perspectives have changed on how I view the world since starting this mahi, but a lot has been also gathered from my work being a personal trainer, working in the health and wellbeing space over in Aussie. I was able to kind of translate some of those skills that I attained from that career into this career. And so I feel that the work I do is very holistic. I can see things from a mind, body, and wairua perspective, and try to help the people that I help take the same approach. And
what kind of people do you help? Like
mostly wahine that are kind of at a point in their life where they feel like something's missing, or they're wanting to expand. They want to learn about who they are outside of the roles that they play. And I think the same with the tāne as well that I have helped. They've come to a point in their life where maybe shit's hit the fan, you know, something's happened in their lives, but they're needing to be able to identify who they are at a soul level.
Did you always have that? Like, or do you feel like it was innately in you to know how to help people in these ways, or did you develop these skills?
A bit of both. When I was doing the personal training stuff, I found that naturally people would open up to me, and we'd kind of go on these tangents of sharing about our lives, and well, they would share with me.
Yeah.
So a lot of the reason why people chose to be with me was because they felt safe to talk to me, as well as, you know, train and all that kind of thing. So when I noticed that that was a regular occurrence, I kind of clued on to that, and I became curious about, well, what are ways that I can actually help people in a more productive way? Because I was kind of just sharing my opinion, and I wanted to be able to help people in a practical way. So that's when I studied coaching and got a lot more insight into how I can help people through the certain questions that you ask people, but also through different tools of healing and understanding yourself. And a big thing came down to helping people to understand that their behaviors and the way that they operate in the world is defined by their internal belief systems that they have. And those belief systems dictate their thoughts, which dictate their feelings, which dictate their actions. So if they can understand what their belief systems actually are and where they stem from, and then define what's actually theirs and what's been given to them by somebody else or by circumstance, they're more empowered to be able to sift through what is in alignment with who they want to be and what isn't.
So you said a bit of both, with the, you know, having the innate ability to understand sort of what people need and help them on their journeys. With what you were just saying there about like the whole getting into learning more about coaching, did a lot of it just like, oh, that's what that is, but I just didn't know how to put a word on it or a framework? Did you notice a lot of that doing that kind of mahi?
Yeah, and initially, you know, with the study that I did, that gave me a good little starting point. But what I had to become good at was observing patterns with people.
Okay.
And because I was kind of working with a similar type of crowd, you know, wahine who wanted to evolve kind of between the ages of their early to mid-20s to their early 40s, a lot of them were coming to me with similar issues, different scenarios, but similar issues and similar patterns and behavior. And so from that, I was able to kind of test and trial different techniques with them, and also, I guess, bring forward questions to them that can help them think for themselves and empower themselves to look for the answers within them. Because that's my job, really, is just to be a mirror to show them who they already are. And
giving them the keys to unlock things that they may not understand are locked away, like stuff that's already in them, just expanding on it and helping them understand it more in themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. We like, just backtrack a little bit. Where did Ari Grant grow up? Obviously, you say like Heiri no Rotorua, but like, are you born and raised in Vegas? What's the go?
Yeah, born and raised in Vegas for the first 10 years of my life. So, you know, most people think of Rotorua as like the hub of Te Ao Māori. And unfortunately, I wasn't exposed to that. So
really?
I you know, had some little drips and drabs of it, but because I was brought up in a Christian household, that took.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
Good
so
point.
that's the priority. We had to go to church every Sunday, and at one point, my dad was going to a Catholic church. Dad was at a apostolic church, and then Mum was
What's
at
this, like a Destiny church style?
yeah,
What
I was
Destiny?
I was brought up in Destiny for
True.
20 years. So
Wow. True,
yeah.
What about Tamaki,
Yeah. So
my whānau, I used to be I used to be at the Brisbane one back in the days when I was in high school. My old lady and my uncles and them were in there. I just used to go for the feeds, to be honest, and just go play touch. But no, I get it. I understand a little bit of how it all works.
My dad actually went to that one for a bit too. So
the Brisbane one?
Yeah,
before they moved to Goldie.
Well,
who's your old man?
My dad, he passed when I was 24, but he was there probably around 2011-ish, 2012.
Oh, nah, yeah, I would already bounced by then. Like, my whānau would have still been going there. But yeah, no, I was just more like 2005, 6, like when I was in high school, around there, with my old lady and them. And then there was a bit of a split, like the pastor at the time, and like I think it was maybe 7 or something like that. Around then, like he sort of didn't agree with. I think it was that ring thing, when they pulled out the old ring for the men to get the ring to be. Yeah, I think that didn't sit well with the pastor, and then my mum and them all followed him to his thing, and my uncles and some of the whānau stayed with Destiny. But yeah, I'm not really a Christian dude, man. I don't really subscribe to any religion, to be honest. I think there's a moral scaffolding in a lot of it. They teach you right from wrong, but I just also think I just don't believe in it, guys. Like I can't follow some fella from the Middle East, bro, when they took our gods away, cause like I'd rather just be proud to be Maori, cause and I sort of I think I look at Christianity too through a lens of colonization, which is what it was used for all around the world, right? Like, whether you're African American whose grandparents were brought in through slavery, and the only good day of the week was Sunday when they're allowed to wear good garments and they weren't whipped for a few hours, or whether you're in the islands and for me, I just look at it through a lens of that. Obviously, each to their own. Believe what you want, but for me, I can't. I was like, bro, fuck that. It's just me.
Honestly, like I hear you, man, and I think that's when I moved to Australia. It was I stopped going to church, and so I had a lot of time to where I just kind of parked it completely, and I just decided not to do anything whatsoever to do with
so
church.
you weren't even any kind of spiritual or anything yet?
Nah, I was just kind of on my own buzz, and then I got to about the age of, it probably was around when my dad passed, so I was 24, and then a couple of years after that, for a couple of years, I was pretty angry at God. I'd grown up.
The very God, yeah.
Like, why would you leave a family of 7? So I'm one of 9, but my dad's whānau, we're one of 7. So why would you leave so many kids to, not have a father? But what I kind of, I guess, decided for myself is that if I stayed in that mentality, that I would stay in a victimhood mentality, and that I would be forever suppressed by that perspective. And I was suffering as a result of that. So
am I being a victim?
I don't know. It's up to you. This is where you get to consider what
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. You've just challenged my thoughts. I don't know. I don't think I look at it from a perspective of being a victim, but maybe you're right. Maybe I have to delve into that more. But yeah, carry on.
Well, I guess I wanted to take the power back. It's not that I don't get to be upset about the fact that my dad passed earlier, but that I get to reclaim my power and see it from a lens of my relationship with my father is one that was, in the physical, atinana, and it has transitioned into one that's spiritual, awairua. And what I'm able to do in that type of relationship almost supersedes what I was capable of doing in the physical, because my dad
handy.
Had his limitations. He had his belief systems and his barriers because of his upbringing and the things that he went through.
Or was he brought up in church? Or
he wasn't.
so he was a born again.
Yeah, he was a born again. I think he became a Christian around the time that I was born. So all of my life. Yeah. What was that?
It was your fault. No,
well, kind of good, because he was.
You were the blessing. Yeah.
He was a bit of a rebel, He was.
So he changed his life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I said. Like that's what I said when I said, like, I believe like there's a moral scaffolding that you get in those places for sure. Like, I understand. I think you can also teach your kids right and wrong without having to take them to church. You know what I mean? Without having to take them to a building, you can just bring them up that way. But I do see that like a lot of broken people end up in churches or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I understand it. Like my own whānau that I spoke about, they all came from, same as my mother, all came from broken whānaus or destroyed, yucky upbringings to, change their lives, So I get the like people resonating with it so much that they want to continue. I sort of look at it as rehab though. Like, you go to rehab, you get fixed. You don't stay there forever. No,
This is the thing I think it's really important to note that from my view as someone who's, I guess, a seasoned, churchgoer. But then, I've gone back over the years. I've gone back to kind of to see if my perspective has changed on what my view is now of church. And it hasn't really changed, where I've come to a place in my life where I believe that my relationship to God or spirit or whatever, that
universe, whatever you want to call them,
is a personal one. And I do have certain mentors in my life that I reach out to for guidance if I need it, and when I need it, because we don't know everything. We get to continue to grow and evolve. But I think about the thing that I would value if I were ever to go back to church. What I would value in going back to the church is that what they include in the framework of their vicinity is education around mental health, as well as spiritual well-being, because that's what I felt was missing when I was going, which was a long time ago. It could be different now. But if you're not teaching people about mental health, then you will find that people will start to create spiritual meaning from something that is actually a mental issue. And knowing the difference is really important. Sometimes it's just a framework of the mind. Sometimes it's a belief system that you just get to change. Maybe there are spiritual links that are attached to that church might help you to navigate. But to be able to understand that how we think is based on a belief system that comes from our childhood, that comes from the experiences we've had in our lives, is something that I was never taught. And I hope that that's being taught in churches today, because if a person can be educated on that, they can then empower themselves to think for themselves and make informed choices, while also be fed spiritually in the same way, in the same space. And that's why, I've taken on the role as being a holistic life coach as well, because I've experienced, just being in the personal training space where it's all about the body, but realizing, this is a mental game too. So then I'm like, okay, then we'll bring that in too. But then realizing it's also a personal thing too. So if the person is open to talking about soul or talking about spirit, then that's something that I can incorporate as well. Because like Te Whare Tapawha, for example, what do we look at? Te taha wairua, te taha hiningaro, and te taha tinana. If those things, as well as te taha whānau, those relationships that we have with those that are important to us, if we do not allow ourselves to fill those cups, then we will not essentially experience the balance that we desire. And so to be able to live in a holistic way is a dance, but I think that needs to be incorporated in churches as well. And that's just my 5 cents,
No, it's cool. It's cool. I think you know, there's obviously a lot of, especially in the, I guess people would say woo world, in the a lot of the stuff that, a lot of like, you know, university stuff that doesn't fit the narrative in those, in a lot of those buildings. But I think there's some good points that you made, and things that could be, if they're not already, could possibly be implemented in those places if you frequent those. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not likely to see me around there anytime soon, probably, but you know, unless someone dies or something, then yeah, maybe. But like, yeah, my whole like paradigm, I guess, on that whole thing, it's just that, it's just it's the whole colonization view, and it's the understanding that the doctrine of discovery was ordained by the Catholic Church in the 1400s, and it gave the, you know, every European power the right by, you know, them, that they could go and colonize any country that wasn't Christian, or, you know, didn't believe in Jesus, and like all of those things. And then just delving into the Council of Nicaea and how they created the Bible, and like how many books were left out. Like, I can't look at all of that shit and just think, yeah, nah, let me follow this. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't. You know what I mean? Like, because I've done that mahi and looked into it as deep as I could, and said, because that's the thing, like, I never make my mind up like on anything unless I fucking have a look into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my paradigm is like where it is. Possibly it's a victim mentality. I have to do some more delving into myself. There, thank you to the great life coach Ari Grant from Rotorua, 10 years, and moved to Aussie and back in Rotorua. Yeah, sure. No, but yeah, that's my sort of paradigm, is that they took away our gods, they took away our belief systems, and not just us, all around the whole world. You know, like from the Americas to, you know, to wherever they went. So for me, and then, you know, our the fact that you didn't know our real, that has a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? Because they rammed that into us instead of, you know, our own beliefs. And then we got our whānau that, you know, whether it's ringa tū or you know, rātana or whānau, both sides think, oh yeah, like, you know, yeah, it's just, this is us, it's a Māori religion. No, it's just in Māori, but it's the same shit. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, like for me, that's why, like, ihu karaite, whatever. But yeah, people can call it universe, they can call it Jesus, Father, they can call it Allah, whatever. Like, sweet ass, that's your choice. But that's where my paradigm sits on that whole thing, and why it is where it is. So I've done a lot of delving into it, but maybe I need to do more.
I think it is important to remain curious, and for asking questions to be encouraged. You know, how you've kind of researched things, and that's something that I personally didn't get to experience. And, you know, when
you were sort of born into it too, so that's a bit harder. Like, whereas I wasn't, you know what I mean? My paradigm came up from being able to be a free bird that could go everywhere. So I got to see all different perspectives. Like, if you and I were born in, let's say, Saudi Arabia, there's probably nothing in our minds that would question anything but what we've been told all our life. You know what I mean? You know, and that's it. Like, because that's the framework we're given. This is the whole, like, when people say, oh, you can't, like, I don't know if you've seen that thing when they're trying to build that marae over here in Parramatta, in Aussie somewhere, in Parramatta, I think. But and then I think the tangata whenua weren't okay with it, and then whānau back home are like, you know, you got to come home to know your marae. And I'm sort of on the fence, because I think I know a lot of Māori, and I've worked in like country towns and places where like there's Māoris there, but they never been home, and they don't even know that, you know what I mean? Like, how do they reconnect? So I can sort of understand the whānaus over here that think, well, these fellows have their mosques, their synagogues, their churches. What is the difference? You know, people say, oh, that's a religion. But like, if you go to, like I said before, Saudi Arabia, tell me that's a religion, or is that their culture? Like, that's what they live. You know what I mean? They live that. You know what I mean? And that's, they live that you know, that hahi, their belief system, that stuff too. Yeah, so with all that, yeah, I reckon you're right. It is. We should always be able to question everything, whether it's your religion, you know, where we came from, whatever, you know, because how do we understand, or how do we have conversations like this that, you know, we can develop more understanding? Like, even you said something that I have to go back and have a look. Like, am I being a victim? I'll do that later. But like, those are, if we don't have those kōreros, how do we grow?
Yeah, you know, exactly. And that kind of comes with what you just said about the importance of questioning everything. We also get to question the paradigms, you know, our internal environment, and not in a way where we're constantly like doubting ourselves, but in a way where we just hold ourselves accountable to our values and to our evolution and say, is that actually true? That this is what's happened? And it's not to dismiss either or disregard what has happened. It's so important that that is done, and that we don't, shove things away when it comes to trauma and when it comes to colonization and all these other things. But also, what is it that's our responsibility to do in our own world in terms of our own internal healing? How do we step up and become, the pioneer of a new pathway and a new narrative that says, I'm going to still stand in my mana, while also recognizing what's happened in the past and say it's not okay. There's integrity in that, and both being included in the process of building your worldview.
100. I like that too, and that's what I think too. It's not to be like, fuck that, and that's it. Like, no, you say fuck that, but then like, well, what's the solution, or where do we move to from here? You know what I mean? Or how do I raise my children if I'm not gonna raise them that way? You know what I mean? Then like, what's the alternative? Figuring that out for sure. Speaking of children, you got any?
No kids.
No?
I've actually been I'm one of those rare ones who's in her mid-30s. This has been something I've been contemplating a bit lately, because
what's that? What you been contemplating? Having a baby? What you been contemplating, having a baby?
No, well, I've been contemplating like how I feel about that. With all of my mates who are my age or older or slightly younger, even some of my siblings, my younger siblings, they have kids already too. And me sort of sharing before about challenging your belief systems, I've had to kind of do that for myself and ask, what am I making it mean that I don't have kids? And a lot of the people that I help are mums. And so there's been this narrative in my own head that, well, you don't have kids, so you don't understand. So how can you help? That's kind of been a little...
I could understand that. I could understand like a sort of an imposter syndrome in that way.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have them, of course, like, but you're an auntie probably, you know what I mean? Like, and maybe in a different, in a different hour, in a different life, you had 13 kids. I don't know.
Who knows, right? And this is what I've had to just bring attention to within my own whakaaro and my own sort of views, that I definitely agree to the whakaaro of, being mindful of who you get advice from when it comes to, say, for example, you wouldn't ask somebody who's never bought a house what their advice is on buying a house, because what is it that they know? But what I do get to recognize in all of this is that I know people, I know communication, I know emotions, I know a lot about the mind, and all of that is included in relationships, which is another thing that I've experienced in.
You had a couple of I heard you say you had a couple of long ones.
You know what? They didn't work out, but I learned a lot.
Well, that's the key, me ako tātou. We learn, we learn, and then we grow, like exactly. Jack when he planted his beanstalk. Hopefully we grow anyway.
Yeah.
That's it. What's the biggest takeaways from that? From your long-term relationships, can you give us a couple of takeaways from those?
Probably there's a couple of takeaways is if you have been in relationships and you look back on them and you see that the way that you were, you're not proud of that, just to give yourself grace and compassion for who you were, because if it were not for who you were, it wouldn't be who you are. A lot of us can sort of cast a bit of guilt and shame upon ourselves if we haven't operated in a certain way in relationships. But what I think is really important is that if you're able to extract the learnings from that, then, you've done what you're supposed to do. Another thing is that communication, I mean, this sounds like a real cliche thing, but communication is key in relationships. And what I've learned about communication, and this is something from, actually, he's a pastor. His name's Teddy Jakes. And he's written a book.
We can learn from all people, man. And those pastors, they've been dealing with people for, especially Teddy Jakes, been dealing with people for 40, 50 years, like in relationships and counseling. Like, just because I don't believe in Jesus, then like doesn't mean I can't, like, bro, I think you can learn from your enemy. You know what I mean? Like, so, not calling Christians my enemy either. I'm just saying, like, no, like, go hard.
Yeah, he's one of my virtual mentors from my perspective, because he's an excellent orator, an excellent communicator, and he speaks about speaking the language of the hearer and the importance of actually taking the time to understand the values of the person that you're speaking to, so that you can articulate yourself in a way that is understood by that person. What point is there to communicate something when you're not actually being heard, you're not actually being understood? You know, so the whole point of it is to be heard, to be understood, and for that person to be open-minded. And so the approach that you take, the tone that you take, the language that you use is something that you get to be mindful of when communicating with people. And what I learned from my previous relationships is that I was a bit stubborn, and I would just communicate things the way that I thought that I should communicate. I communicated things in the way that I thought that I should, in the way that I wanted to, because
Can you give me an example?
If I wanted something to change in the relationship, maybe let's just go.
Like what? The bird just wasn't hitting at the right angle or something?
Fuck. No, we won't go there.
No, okay.
If I'm not happy with, let's just say, if I'm not happy with their priorities, for example, I used to just be like, what are you up to? Why are you not doing that? You know, we've talked about this. Why haven't? And I would just be straight shooter, assertive, and I'd just be like, I'm not okay with that. Why are you doing it that way?
Can you give me an example though, like of what's like what? Just trying to wrap my head around this.
Okay, so let's just say typical one, all right? Like,
yeah,
gone out drinking or something like that. Let's just use it as an example. All good, bro. Go have your drink. Go have your good time. When you come back, make sure that you, like, if you've communicated that you're going to come back at a certain time, just come back at that time. If you've communicated that you, or if you're also then wanting to let that drag on for another 2, 3, 4 days, that's, you know, that's like, where's the line there when it comes to respect?
Oh, wait, I need to hear this one, because I used to be bad at that shit. Like, and I wasn't up to nothing. I was just drinking and like partying, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And it's like a typical thing, right? And a lot of guys might go, oh yeah, but you know, so if you know if you think you might be out a little bit longer, just give a later time, bro. Or just, you know,
bro, I think the problem was I never used to give a time.
But like,
then,
right. So here's the thing. Whether if you're gonna go out and not communicate, and not worry or not to consider the person that's at home, what you're telling her is that she's not a priority.
Ooh, and, fuck, you should have told me this years ago, G. Fuck, saved me heaps of dramas.
Yeah. And it's not about her being on the case all the time, because I know that some women can be really funny about it. They can get insecure about it and all of that. But it's
understandable though. When it's like, especially if it drags on for like days, you know what I mean? I understand. It's understandable if you're insecure about that, I think.
It's respect at the end of the day, and it's just defining, okay, what is respectful? And if we've agreed on something that this is what respect looks like for us, stick to it, honor that. And if you need to make an adjustment, then make the adjustment, but both parties being able to contribute to the outcome of that and being able to decide, okay, this is the new norm and this is what's acceptable. Because one thing that I will say is that I don't get to tell someone how to love me. I just get to choose whether or not I'm going to participate in their version of love.
Ooh, okay then, sister. Okay then.
So I might be pissed off about the way somebody is acting and operating, but if this is who they are, I'm choosing to stay.
Okay. Well, not anymore. You left. But I get you. I get you. Yeah, I
That's,
get you.
that's just one example. That's just like a typical one that comes
Yeah.
up a lot in relationships. It can be something even a little bit different. It can be about finances. It can be about what your values are when it comes to communicating with each other. It can be about how you parent the kids. It can be, what the guidelines are around mahi, around traveling away. There's so many different dynamics, but it comes down to
especially in this digital age with the whole apps and whatever you got on your phone, and there's heaps of fucking shit that goes on. Yeah,
there is, and unless you guys have actually talked about it and communicated about it, you can't really get too pissed off sometimes. Obviously there's certain standards though that you want to. This is what I think people miss, and this is what I will do in my next relationship, is I will communicate my standards.
Yeah, I think you should have, because then it's all on the table. Then the bro, you already knew, cuz. You knew what the go was, brother. This is how I want it, G. Hey, from this angle at this time on this date, and these are the things you need to, if you can't, and then obviously that also goes, what are yours? Eh?
Yeah, exactly. And love is, from my perspective, it's about how can I give to you, and how can I contribute to this connection, and how can we deepen this connection. And what I've learned from that is that communication, consistency, and quality of communication and consistency creates trust. And if you've got those things, then you've got a great relationship. And I have that in a lot of my friendships. I'm able
any of them potential hop-ons or nah?
Nah, most of my friends are
ugly.
My friends are wahine, and then I don't really have too many guy mates.
Okay. But what are we looking for then?
What am I looking for? This is funny. I listened to the morning shift this morning, and they talked about this stuff.
Give it to us. Down the lens.
Down the lens. At the moment, you know what? I'm not looking. I'm not looking. But when I do get to a point of being open to a relationship, what I need is good communication, loyalty, emotional intelligence.
Okay.
And make me laugh, because that's really important.
Surely, the brothers, you gotta start there. You surely gotta make it laugh first. I know that should be easy, baby. Yeah. Get a bit of a giggle out of Ari Grant. You might get a bit of something else, fun. Hey.
Yeah, and she's got a bit of dark humor. She's a bit witty, so
true. That's it. You're the dark humor. Yeah. Fucking hell, your stock just went higher, sis. You just went higher. The boys are keen. No, not the boys, the men.
That's it. And I think
hold on. What about aunties? No aunties off the table.
No, we want a man. But I think if you're someone who has good communication, emotional intelligence, is able to have a good laugh, it probably means that you've worked on yourself too. It probably means that you've actually taken into consideration your own healing journey, and that you've learnt from your mistakes. And nobody's going to come into a relationship perfect or healed or anything like that. That's never the expectation, but just that, I think it's a beautiful thing to share life with somebody and to grow with somebody. And for two individuals, which my nan used to tell me this, that relationships are about two individuals that choose each other and support each other, but have their own path and a united vision. And
he's on one.
She's on. She's got the gems, and that's what we want. That's what I think everybody deserves, and what I know that I deserve too. So I'm kind of grateful that I don't have children, because I feel that it's afforded me the opportunity to really understand who I am, to grow, to establish my career.
This lady is judging all the mothers. That's joking. That's what some people's going to go like, whatever, bitch. Some chick with like 8 kids is telling you, fuck you.
This is my journey. Everybody walks their own.
Yeah, that's it. So relative to you, fun. Whatever you want to do. Fucking stop in the soccer. Jesus. I get the perspective though, yeah, because you get to understand, like, you don't have, there's not, and you don't, like, we never say our kids are distractions, but let's just look at it in that way, like, you know, there's been nothing to distract you from your own, like, mahi, you know what I mean? Because if it takes away your time and your energy, like, you could look at it as a distraction. I'm not saying our kids are distractions, but you know what I mean? Certainly, I get it. I get the perspective.
What I've had to really come to the understanding of, obviously from an observer's perspective, is that sometimes they are a distraction, and actually you do need to put down the self-healing to tend to your kids, and that's just the way that it is.
That's 100% right. And then the more of them you have, and then the more, because then let's be honest, a lot of people have tamariki just to like keep the relationship sort of thing, and then that, you know, you don't get to do the healing anymore because now you got a fucking crying baby again, and you're trying to take the other ones to school. And I understand, like, you're on. You're on with the whakaaro. I think as someone that has a kids, is that off? Like, nah, I don't want that. Or like, what if they have good communication, emotional intelligence, funny ass, make you laugh, hearty, like you can't stop giggling, but they got kids?
Kids doesn't matter to me. It's because I know that I'll be a good mother anyway, and I you know, it would be a different dynamic. And you know what, I have a stepmom, and I feel like that role is a really serious role to take on.
100%. Especially if they're young too, like, especially if the kids are, like, you know, still like not teenagers yet or something like that, you know what I mean? Or, you know, even then still, but like, definitely, because, you know, there's still much more influence to have over their lives, you know what I mean? And even shaping their paradigms and their worldviews, you have an influence on that. And, you know, the rangatahi they carry our world on when we're gone, you know. So
and that's become to kind of, I guess, bring it back into the mahi that I do. Although I don't have my own kids, I've thought about, well, you know, a lot of people live for their kids, or they do things where their kids are the inspiration for their betterment, for their healing and all of that. And who's to say that I'm not that for the wahine that I help have kids? Their kids now have a mother who is emotionally intelligent, who is a better communicator, who is healing, which means they're passing that on to their kids, and so on and so forth, breaking generational cycles, which is what this whole thing's for, right? And
generational breaking cycles. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's all about, and that still gets to happen. So
I'm liking that we connected today. This is cool, because I've been on a fucking journey this year, sis. Like, I've been on a bit of a journey, trying to, I don't know, I was ugly cunt for ages, you know, I'll be honest. Like, grew up in ugly, you know, and did heaps of ugly shit. Not like beat your woman stuff, but beat other people, and, you know, all their fucking just yuck, you know what I mean? And like, I've been out of that, like, a lot of the world for a few years now, and especially since I've had tamariki, but like, I just fucking so when you see generational curses, there's so much shit that I'm even today I think, fucking hell, where's that come from? And then I'm thinking back, like, I'm only learning now. You go back and talk to that little fella, like, you know, it's all good, you know, that fella that used to get fucking uncle bullied and, you know, get all that shit, like, you know, beaten up for nothing, like many of our whānau, which sucks. But I've learned a lot, and doing, like, this is like, I think the first one of these I recorded was in January, and I've done like 300 like plus this year. So, and with some cool people, and the more that I've been on this journey, the more like awesome people I connected with, like yourself, that are either coaches or they're on a healing journey, they're on a hiding, like trying to heal themselves. And like, like, I don't know, I just been on this buzz, like, just only, I always looked at people that have, like, I don't know, that do like daily affirmations and talk about energy, like, you're a fucking weirdo. But now I'm one of those fellas. And I was just like, straight up, I'll be writing all that shit down every day. I'll get up and have a wānanga with myself in there. And then I even started recording this shit. So you're not my coach, me, but I just wanted to say it's cool connecting with you and like hearing your perspective and your mahi, because I think the more of that needs to be done. And the generational curse thing is big for me, because that's what I like. Even growing up though, I was sort of like contrast, because I sort of like stuck between worlds, because my heart always wanted to be a good person, but then you see some clown, fuck you, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or whatever, or like you see someone hurt somebody, you just want to go rip them off or do something, you know what I mean? All that kind of shit. So, but like, so in my heart, I sort of like thought I was like a Robin Hood, but then at the same time, mate, just doing ugly shit. And yeah, I don't know. But I always wanted to, and what my son actually said the other day to me, his mother said, he goes, I want to go to daddy's. And then she goes, oh, you want to go there? And he was like, yeah, my daddy is a good man. And I've never ever felt like a good man. Like I always wanted to be. But when I heard my 7-year-old son say that to me, I was like, shit, son, maybe I can be. You know what I mean? So yeah, big mihi to you anyway for your mihi and the score.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's always good to connect. And the reason I said yes to this kōrero is because I can see that your intention is to, have more of this accessible out there. And a couple of things kind of from what you just said is that maybe this is tips to relationships, but also just tips in general, is that we can never tell anybody to speed up or slow down their journey. Everybody's pace to which they grow and learn is perfect for them. And that was probably something that I had to let go of control of, as I was trying to accelerate their journeys and trying to have
like your people you're helping or your relationships?
In my relationships. And that's not romantic. It was sometimes with friends too. And that's me trying to play God, and that's not my job. And
I can't even hear that one too. Holy Rick. The baby thinking, even though, fucking, fuck. Never mind. Carry on. Sorry. Shit.
So and so then the other part to that, which is to follow, is that a big piece to healing is self-forgiveness. So for everything that we have done that we think, I probably wouldn't want to do that again, or I wish I did it different, we get to...
got heaps.
Yeah, we all do, bro. Like,
got heaps, yeah.
But honestly, we all do.
Pull their fellas' teeth out here.
So it's a choice. It's a choice to forgive, but it's not only a choice, it's a process. And that's one other thing that I've learned, is that self-forgiveness, I can decide I forgive myself, but the process of truly forgiving myself means feeling through all of the feelings that come with that. The resentment, the sadness, the hurt, the frustration, the guilt, the shame, all of those parts of me get to have a seat at the table of my heart, have a voice and be heard and be seen and be witnessed. And that's kind of like what you were sharing about, well, I don't know if that's what you were connotating about little you, younger versions of you being able to have a seat. It's a massive, massive contribution to being able to self-forgive, because the assumptions and belief systems that you assumed at those ages and as a teenager and even as an adult were things that you had to turn on in a way to allow yourself to feel like you could survive, feel like you could be safe in whatever environment that you're in. And at the end of the day, we were just searching for love. We were just searching for acceptance.
Straight up. Like that's all nice what you're saying. And I don't know, like people, because a lot of people know me, like then like know that like the happy me is they just think I'm a clown, like it always just makes people laugh, and it's like, you know what I mean, always takes the piss and just take the piss out of myself, whatever, but it always like witty and that. But like all of that shit just developed because I was fucking didn't want to be angrier, because then you go to a different place, you know what I mean? And also because I was trying to make that little boy laugh that was starved and locked in rooms for 3 days with fucking only water and a box of raisins, guys. That was fucking, if you didn't suck this old man's dick, you get fucking locked in the room, like little 4-year-old, you know what I mean? Like that's their little boy, that I was trying to, they get fucking bailed up in the corner of dogs and like try to jump the fence, get a nail through your fucking foot, like all these kinds of things. I was trying to, make that little boy happy in a lot of ways. And it's only this year that I started. Someone said to me, I think it was in one of the comments or something, you should go back and talk to that young boy or something. I was like, huh? And I delved into it a little bit, and then I was like, fuck. And then obviously I can't go back physically to all these places, but like you can go there in the Hinengaro, in the Wairua, Which again, before this year, I would think you're fucking weird. You know what I mean? But like, bro, no, I don't really think that anymore. Like I've had a massive paradigm shift, and I know I've got a lot of unlearning to do, and it's a journey, it's a huarahi, it's a hidinga. Like it's gonna take time, but yeah, I fucking and I fucked up so much shit. Like even like relationships, like you said in there. But I didn't think like my mum didn't fucking love me, so like, well, she was never around. Like, how the fuck could a girl love me? You know what I mean? So I just like me. You know what I mean? I just do me. You know what I mean? Like, and it's sad because I've fucking hurt some people over time because of that shit. Yeah. I only learned that shit and I was one of these. I was doing a podcast with the bro Jason, and then he said that, and then because his mum was alcoholic and never around when he was a kid, and then I said to him, I was like, "Cuz, like, did you?" Because I was talking to another fellow, and he grew up with just sisters, and then this other fellow who had sisters, he said like, "Oh, I've always been confident around girls, this and that," and then because he had sisters, he never looked at them as like different beings. He always looked at because he had so many sisters. And I said the same to the bro Jason. He was like, nah, because my mum didn't fucking love me, brother. So like, what the fuck with girls? I was like, oh yeah. But then thinking back to the bro who had all the sisters, he also had a mum and a dad that loved him. You know what I mean? So just thinking about those dynamics. But when the bro Jay said that, I was like, fuck! I just realized why I fucked up heaps of my shit now. Because I always thought that, but I didn't think it like knowingly. It's obviously subconscious, but.
It's perspective too, because I don't know if you heard the story about the twins who grew up with an alcoholic father, and one of them, went down the same path, and the other person went down a completely different path. And they asked the same question to each of them, well, why did you choose to be an alcoholic? And he says, well, my dad was one. And then the other guy said, why did you choose not to be an alcoholic? Well, my dad was one. The answers were the same, but the way that they chose to deal with it, the path that they chose was different. And I think that the same goes even with people who are brought up in really beautiful homes. I've got friends who've had great parents who were, did their best. And so some people that live that way because they haven't experienced quote unquote trauma don't believe that their feelings are valid.
Yeah, but it's all relative here. Like, somebody is like my story, they go, oh fuck, that's cooked. They're like, just a little bit of this fucking heaps of, but like, and I'm like, wow, it's like I know people way worse stories than that. Gee, I met a motherfucker on a train and going in Canada, going from Toronto to Montreal, and then he told me about he got to Canada as a refugee because fucking Joseph Kony came and shot up his whole fucking village, and he had to play dead for 2 days in the church and act like while his mum, dad, fucking sister all lied next to him dead until they left the village, and then he got a gap, and like fucking my story, like stories just it's all relative, bro. Like what's it, Theodore Roosevelt, comparison is the thief of joy.
And if we devalue our own story, we don't get to learn from it. We don't get to truly experience the lessons and also remember those lessons. And when we integrate our story into who we are and turn our pain into power and create that sense of peace of what's happened in our lives, we then become advocates for healing out in society. And so people then can look at us and go, okay, well, he did it, she did it, so can I. And our stories might relate to other people. And the way that we share those stories is also unique and different for every person as well. And that's one thing that I love that Teddy Jakes also shares is, what is it? Why be a cheap copy of a great original when you can be yourself? Ooh. So the most beautiful thing about an individual is their authentic expression. And we might have really freaky stories or really beautiful stories that we've come from, but regardless, we're not trying to be like anybody else. We get to stand up and be who we are. And coming back to what I do and why I do it, it's for that purpose. Why? Because a person that stands true to who they are, they're the ones that break generational cycles. They're the ones in the family that may be seen as the black sheep. They're the funny. That's who I attract, actually. If there's like a little,
you're like a good black sheep. Black sheep.
haven't been received well into their family, or they think a little bit different, or they just have a different way of being, are typically the people that are drawn to me, because it takes bravery and courage to not think like everybody else and not be like everybody else.
It's probably why we're sitting here, sis. It's like, you know, I've always been there, doing different shit and just weird. Like, you know, don't like fucking following the norm. I never liked fucking just doing the whole norm shit out and like, you know what I mean? I was fucking never have. Yeah. I don't know. And, you know, like that whole Rockefeller system, you know, made for fucking, you know, our education system created to make robots. So always looked at the rat race like, nah, I want to do different shit. Sometimes that's the best shit, though. You know?
I mean, I spent 20 years being everything that I was told to be, you know, and so
Yeah.
I did conform to a lot of the frameworks of my upbringing, and not to say that that was a bad thing, but it also planted the fire in my belly to challenge conformity and mediocrity, and to you know, to give people a voice, because that's what I felt like I didn't have sometimes.
Yeah, not having a voice, that would make sense, especially in, you know, and being when you were just operating under, you know, under the conditioning, and you can, you know, like you see, conforming. You don't have a voice. That's follow the system, and that's it.
What I admire though is like
breaking out of it too.
I serve mates that are still in church, and probably a big reason why I'm still friends with them is because they ask questions and they don't.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's beautiful also to be able to witness the evolution that can happen within that space, where it has been encouraged for people to evolve outside of, you know, older paradigms within the church space. So and that's not just church, that's school, you know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't mean like church, I meant school. Like, I mean school, you know, because that whole system was created by the Rockefellers in the 1800s to make robots to work in factories. So you're told to sit down, shut up, put your hand up if you want to speak, line up. You know what I mean? If you figure out a problem and you can't show how you figured it out, oh, it's wrong. If you don't do it the same way, like all of that shit, it's all systematic. That doesn't mean, you know, obviously, if someone operates on my brain, I'll probably want them to go to university. You know what I mean? I don't want a YouTube uni for that one, but you know, it all works. But and you also need, you know, people to be a part of that. Otherwise, the system doesn't work. But I get what you're saying. It's I just never fit into that shit ever. You know what I mean? Go play football, go have a feed, you know. Try to, you know, get some aunties, whatever that's about it at schoolhouse, fucking have a to do, and then fuck that. Yeah. And like, I don't know, and obviously that's put on a pedestal, right? Like you know, if you you know, I just remember being a kid, and because, you know, being Maori, well, there wasn't that many university graduates in the whānau, you know what I mean? Oh, my fucking, your cousin gone to uni, like, and I think about it on like, fucking, and she don't even do what the fuck she went for either anymore. She don't give a fuck, like, you know. But I mean, that's all good if you want to. Just even like, how many Indians doctors, because their parents said they had to be. You know what I mean? That's all their conformity stuff.
And it's I think, you know, there's, like you say, there's a place for everything, and some people fit in the box, and some people make the boxes, and some people go, I don't want any box. I just want to see what's outside of that and explore what's outside of that. And
that's my kōrero's philosophy. Just don't have a box and you can't be contained. I was like, he used to say it to me when I was growing up. I was like, yeah, my man. Yeah. Because, you know, the teachers would go to school and then they always say, oh, you're always outside the box. And I was said to him, well, what does this mean, outside the box? I was only in primary school. And he's like, just don't have one. You can't be contained. He didn't even explain what a box was. He said, fuck the box.
Eventually, all the metaphors and analogies they started.
Wait, did you like I don't know, your elders or whatever, bro, my kōrero was all riddles, it was all parables, like all the time. It was all like, and then I think now, like back in the days, I'm like, what the fuck did that mean? Now I'm like, oh shit, that's what he meant. You know what I mean? Like things hitting me. Even this year, some things hit me. I'm like, oh, I get you now, fella. You know what I mean? Like, okay, okay. They see we're sewing with 9 years old, 10 years old, and I'm all the way till now. What am I now? 32. I'm like, what the hell? What are you on about? Now I get it.
Yeah, I guess my nan and kōrero didn't really speak that way. My mum was a little bit, sometimes she can be a bit cryptic sometimes, but
yeah,
I think it's actually the nature of Māori though. Like that's what we do is we personify things and we use like te taia, we use nature to explain things that we can't see or don't understand. And we're great.
Well, we learn through pūrākau, eh? Pūrākau is how we. I think that's why. Do you have a good memory? Oh, you didn't really grow up though, like proper, like Te Ao Māori. You said it, even Christian. Because I grew up like Hāti Te Ao Māori, and like a lot of cousins that I have, they all have good memories. And then I was talking to one of the breathers one day, and he was like, "I wonder if it's because like the way you grew up, you learned like a lot of our stuff is oral. It's taught that way, and then you have to remember it and to to spit it out again, like it's not written down." Even I really struggle writing it. Like I hate it. I hate writing like physically. It pisses me off. And then I was talking to my old man one time, actually like 2 weeks ago, and then he goes, "Maybe that's a tupuna thing, son. You know, like our tupuna, like it was all oral and passed down." And he's like, you know, because I remember asking some of our haumātua to like write their karakia down or write their waiata down, and they say, "Oh." To me, they just wouldn't. I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe, but I'm gonna do it more just because it pisses me off. So I'm gonna try to do it more, you know, than the seek discomfort.
I went to a wānanga actually, a real wānanga on the weekend, and they said the same thing. You know, that they had to memorize everything, and that's not something that I was exposed to. But I think for everyone, you've got I guess a style of learning, right? Or you've got something that helps you to connect to that thing to help you remember. For me, if I feel connected to it, if there's an emotional connection, then I will remember. And that's why I think I'm really good at what I do in terms of the coaching side of things, because everything that I'm doing with an individual and open groups is emotional. So that's for me, I guess, the field that or the space that I play in. And so if I can activate or ignite that, then I know that that will probably be a stamp in that person's memory, and that they'll be able to come back to that. Even if it doesn't solidify or integrate, they'll come back to it because it makes such an impact in their lives. And you know the saying, it's not what you do, it's how you make someone feel that they remember. Yeah. So
they might not even remember your name, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that's what mine is for me, because can be shocking at remembering people's names or remembering, you know, waiata, words to waiata and things like that. But I will always remember every single client. I remember, because a lot of it was online. The vibes. I remember what, you know, whether they cried or not, what their background was in terms of the visual background and everything, because it's always such a powerful exchange, because they're realizing things about themselves and they're deciding whether or not they're going to take the leap into doing something that's going to literally change their lives. So that helps me to remember, but also tells me why it's so important.
Do people come to you wanting to get the X back?
I can't. I have people coming to me that
they do. Let's go. Kōrero mai. What's the tips? What you give me them for tips?
Needing support with relationships. Yes. But again, like it's you know, it's communication, it's emotional intelligence, it's all of those things that I help them with, and a lot of the time it's, well, let's address the thing that you are in control of, you know, and let's become aligned with who you are, and let's actually help you to integrate what your values look like, what they make you feel, what vision they shape for you, and why it matters that you become that person. And then you can sort of make a better assessment of whether or not you want your ex back, or whether or not you want to attract something new into your life. Because a lot of the time, you know, if we've separated from somebody, or if we've gone through something traumatic, doesn't have to be that, we're in a deeply emotional space, and so there is a high chance that in that deep emotional space we will want to attach ourselves to whatever feels safe and familiar. So your ex might feel safe and familiar, or that person over there might feel safe and familiar, or your old mahi might feel safe and familiar. But in a place of healing and groundedness, and you not being in such an emotionally heightened state, would you still make that choice?
So it's take it, helping them take themselves to a place where they've, you know, eliminated all their yuckiness or whatever, and they're in just a solid mindset, solid, like feeling good about themselves. Now, what do you still want that, or do you feel like you want something else?
Yeah, and you're probably making a more informed choice rather than an emotional one. And a lot of the times, if you look back on all the emotional decisions that you've made, you probably regret a lot of them, or you learned a lot from them and probably wouldn't do it again. And that goes for both deep, dark, sad emotions, and also really high, excited, high vibey ones, because you're not, you know, you say yes to things when you're super excited. You're like, yeah, let's do it. And then later you're like, oh, actually, I don't even want to do that. So bringing yourself to a space of groundedness, to a toe, to alignment with your mind, your heart, your puku, I believe, when you're making life choices, is a really good way to operate, because then you know that you're in integrity to your values, and you know you're making an informed choice, and you're not rushing into something that might be a lesson that you didn't really need to learn. I want to make choices in my life where most of the time I'm choosing to challenge myself. I'm choosing the lessons most of the time. Not, well, I didn't listen and I keep repeating cycles and patterns over and over again. So the universe is like, well, she's not learning, so we'll send her another so she can bloody learn, because she won't listen to her own intuition. So I want to strike a good balance between the lessons that I choose and the lessons that come to me.
Awesome. Have you dealt with like a lot of people that have like sexual abuse sort of stuff, but like, and are they like quite, were they sexually active, or not just in physical but in thought? Do they have you dealt with any of that?
Yeah, so I myself have experienced it as a young girl.
Sorry.
But then I was like, I guess because I was brought up in Christianity, and I was taught just, you know, you wait for marriage and all that kind of thing. And I was pretty, you know, good Christian girl for a really long time, up until my late teens, early 20s is where I decided to, you know, choose my own path. But yeah, but I have had clients where they've experienced that and it's affected them in different ways, and I had to go on my own journey of healing from sexual harm and understanding how it affected me as an individual and what my relationship to that was, and how can I heal that, and how can I become I guess, just how can I start to come to a place where I know that the choices I'm making are choices that I choose, not choices that are a reaction to trauma. And man, it's really sad how common it is to see the men and women who have experienced that and how it affects them. My gift, I suppose, in life was why I chose to heal from that was because I was exposed to hearing somebody else's story. And the crazy thing about it is that, you know, I'm in this field of personal development and growth and healing. It was only in 2021 or 2022. No, 2021 when I realized I had never addressed it.
True.
And then 2022 when I actually took action. So for me, I think I had pushed it down so much that I didn't even think about it.
Oh, okay. But it was there because you hadn't like let go of it. It was still there. You just buried it deep down.
I buried it real deep. And
did you ever? Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's the case though for a lot of people. Where I've found in my own experience, not that that I'm an expert in that kind of stuff, but what I've noticed from the people that I have worked with who've shared that with me is that they got really good at suppressing, and it either came out like we say, where you get hypersexual, or people become like they just don't even want to go there, or they dynamics where maybe they feel like they can't speak up in relationships, and so they kind of just go with whatever. And not
I was asking that because I like with mine, like and a lot of our stuff, I always like made me aware, like if there's kids around, make sure they're safe. Like I'd always put that in my mind. Like even when I had kids, like I used to party hard, and then when I had kids, like not so much, or I didn't really have much parties around them anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Or if there was, I'd always just make sure that they were all safe and all their cousins, and I've always been like that. But then there's also another side of like, if I'm in, if like you're having a pump or whatever, like I have to be like, my attachment, I think, to it is that like if I didn't like make you fucking lose your mind and call me God, then I would feel like I fucking failed. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I like feel, and like I'll get caught in, or like, oh, you just all you want to do is that. But like I think I always thought that was aroha, because like being so young and having a lot of times with a lot of different people, like I always thought like if I don't, take her to fucking, take her to the fucking moon, like, and then I'm not doing it properly, you know what I mean? Like I still have that. Or is that a bit? Oh, no, fuck. Does it come from that or what?
Probably, but I think it also comes to, I think that the whole performance-based, whakaaro is really strong for both wahine and tāne, where we believe our worth is tied into how successful we are or how good we are at something, or into what we do. And it's this transactional relationship that we have with our worth that is diminishing, and it means that you'll never get satisfaction. Like you'll never feel completely worthy because you think you always have to earn it all the time. And
earn it.
Yeah, and that's where, especially, and this is one thing that I had to look at within myself, is that if I hold unforgiveness towards myself or anything, whether it's to do with relationships, mahi, anything, what I would do is I would hold myself accountable to what I deemed as debt. So I used to see my transgressions. I suppose that's a bit of a Christian thing too, like we repent for our sins. Where if I've done something wrong or something that I feel was not in alignment with who I wanted to be, then I have to then make up for that. And so how am I going to make up for that? I'm going to make sure that I succeed in this area of my life. And if I succeed in that area of my life, then that nullifies that debt. But what that then says is that for every time that I do something wrong, I have to do something right. And if you think about it, this is one of the most profound and powerful things that I talk about in my space of coaching is what makes your children worthy of your love.
What makes them worthy of it? I never fucking thought about that. I mean, it's because they exist, I guess. So I don't know. I've never really thought about that.
And so then what if they were super successful and they achieved all these incredible things, would that then mean that you love them more or that you show them more love?
Cool.
But what if they did something that was not good and it was something that, you know, that was not in alignment or they made some massive mistakes? Does that then mean that you remove some of that love?
Nah, fuck no, because one, I can't judge any motherfucker. Like, I done some things, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I know that. So for me, it's like, fuck, I was that age, I was doing worse shit, probably, you know? So probably for me, nah, hell no. Like,
Mm.
never.
Mm.
I don't. My kids are only fucking little there, so 7's the oldest. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Wait
So
till
then
they're teenagers, and maybe I can tell you more about how I feel from that perspective. I don't know.
yeah, but I mean, there's this part of every parent which I've observed that says it doesn't matter what my kids do, I'll love them always and I'll love them the same. And they will always be worthy of my love.
Oh
And
yeah. Like I believe that. I was just trying to think about what you were
Mm.
saying exactly. Like, yeah. Anyway,
So why I asked that question is what makes you different?
then them, then these other parents.
No, what makes your kids?
What makes me different? Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Oh, you little sneaky lady. I get you now. Okay. It'll creep up on us like that shit. No. I get it. Okay. Oh, okay. Do you know what I mean though? Like with that's a good point too. Do you know what I mean though with that like I was so attached to like if I didn't achieve these things, like I would feel like you fucking useless cunt. Like, you know, this in my head, like, and then it'll be bad because sometimes the aunties don't wanna just fucking lose their mind. Sometimes they just wanna, you know, have a young one and then get their pie, you know, it doesn't have to always be fucking out of body fucking shit. But then I'm in my head, I'm like, no, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, we're going there. But then, like I said, then if they didn't, then I'll be like, oh, don't you fucking love me? Or am I wrong? You know what I mean? Am I fucking, I don't know.
And that's
so
what,
cool
that's
shit,
why that's why I bring that up though, because it's probably a mixture of what you've experienced through trauma, but also of that idea of worth, that unless I achieve the highest, you know, the highest outcome or the best outcome, I'm a piece of shit.
I don't know. Yeah, actual.
Right, but that's the condition, right? But we don't have that with our kids. And so this is why
you fucking better not, you little rat. But yeah,
right?
I know, see.
Well, we try not to, right? Some parents do have that, but I suppose majority of the time, you know, we don't want to make our love for our children conditional. So then what we get to do is ask, how can I make the love that I have for myself unconditional? And that's by what we said before, you know, going back to that young boy or going back to that young teen and letting him know that you don't have to achieve a certain outcome to be worthy of love. You don't have to achieve a certain outcome to feel good about yourself. You can feel good
go
about
back and have those kōreros too, you reckon?
Yeah.
True. But it's fun though. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like I don't have to you don't have to like fucking, you're not gonna die, boy, you know, or it's not the world over.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much is attached to that young boy or the young teen or the young adult, even those earlier 20s. You know, we constantly kind of go through different things in our lives that makes an imprint on our worldview or on the way that we see ourselves. But this is where we become the leader. We own our rangatiratanga. We take self-sovereignty and we take the power back and we say, do you know what? These belief systems, this transactional and conditional love is not something that I'm going to subscribe to. I'm worthy of being able to experience happiness and joy and contentment and love and success and all the things that I desire without having to meet a certain criteria. And yes,
will they make me mad? Make me mad for
this is the thing. Here's the thing. Know your values, stick to them, and you will be happy.
Yeah. Oh, kia ora. All right then. Remember, I think I need to have that kōrero because fucking hell, man, that shit fucks me up. If it doesn't, you know, that's not the. But you know, it's like, oh, you know, fucking what the. Yeah, shut up, cunt. Fucking amateur. Fucking Suki Baba. Yeah. Like, bro, I wanna fucking, like, still stay awake tonight. Jesus. Yeah. Naughty, yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the
Thank you for that. I'm gonna go have a
also,
kōrero to myself. See you later. No.
yeah, you go away, have a soft wānanga.
Yeesh. Got
But
a
you know,
razor for a teeth. Not even. Yeah. Well, it's fuck, bro, this is on. Oh, speaking of you though, you said Rotorua first 10 years. Then where did you go?
I went to Auckland for 5 years. My mum took me and my brother up there to live there for a bit. And so did high school and that there. And then when I turned 15, I went to go live with my dad and my stepmom back in Rotorua. And so completed school there. And then I actually tried uni for a bit, but didn't finish. And
what were you trying to be at uni?
Funnily enough, you know what? I've come full circle. I did psychology in Māori. So
oh wow.
Yeah, so I did like a year and a half of that, and then I've come back to that, but in my own way, you know, because I don't do psychology, but I'm working with the mind.
Well, you work with the mind anyway. Yeah.
And I kind of prefer this because I have a lot of autonomy in this coaching space. I'm not limited to the boundaries of a lot of the psychological spaces that, you know, they have these certain rules, and a lot of the foundations of those frameworks and models are based on white men. So, you know, I'm kind of glad that I went down this alternative route because it feels I'm really glad. And I feel like I'm a lot more mature and took it on at a time in my life where I could actually really embrace it. So did that, wasn't sort of, well, I met someone. That's what happened. I met someone, and then
you go to Aussie, or
that's when I went to Aussie, and so him and I started a life in Melbourne.
Oh, Melbourne, Burn City.
Yeah, I was there for 3.5 years, and then when my dad got sick, we moved to Brisbane, which is where my dad was. And
that's right, Destiny Church, Brisbane. Now I think Gold Coast. I think.
Yeah, and then
the sun's running it.
Yeah, so then 5 years or so in Brisbane, and then I moved to, well, my partner and I at the time, we were going through some stuff, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go.
Another fella or the same fella?
The same guy. So that was a 10-year relationship, that one.
Yeah.
And we were kind of just trying to work things out. So I moved to the Gold Coast, and that's when I pursued life coaching and all of that, and did some traveling and kind of just tried to find my feet a little bit more in this whole self-healing journey. And him and I, when we separated after 10 years of being together, it was probably not long after that I came back home to Aotearoa, and I've been here ever since.
How long is this? How long you been back home from now?
4 years.
4 years. Solid. Are you what if your fucking, you know, what if your Prince Charming lives in another country? Are you open to that?
I know that what's meant for me won't miss me. That's how I'm seeing it now.
Hit the target, cuzzy. Hit the target.
So, I'm kind of, like I said,
well, you can do your mahi anyway, eh? Really?
I want to do my mahi. I want to focus on that. I was in another relationship here in Aotearoa, which we broke up last year. So.
Oh yeah. What's the flavor? Like, obviously emotional intelligence and yada yada yada. Yeah, we get that. What's the flavor? You like Indians or?
I have stuck to my people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I really value our culture, and since
we keep this bloodline strong, fun.
I think because I didn't get to have that exposure to Te Ao Māori, and coming home, I've been able to re-engage with it, and actually, like, only really the last, like, I'm going to say 2.5 years have I actually really gone there with learning te reo again, getting into wānanga, kind of trying to re-indigenize my mind and my perspective and challenge the narratives that I have that may be based on colonization. So it's really only been, it's quite a fresh journey for me to be re-engaged. And I want my kids to be able to experience, I suppose, what I didn't. I want to be able to get more immersed in it. So, I mean, I've got a connection to Hawaii. Like, I feel real drawn to Hawaii.
Oh, yeah?
It's crossed my mind a few times.
Oh, yeah.
I spent some time there actually this year and really appreciate and value the culture and how similar the cultures are between Hawaii and Aotearoa. But yeah, I'm not really, we're just focusing on Ari and Mahi and again,
Ari, sorry, fuck, because I had someone else on name before and they're like, my name's not Ari, it's Ari. I was like, oh shit, my bad, Ari. Here you go, fam, Ari. Ari Grant, my bad.
Yeah. I'm Ari Grant, but focusing on me and keeping my heart, just
Solid.
on the kaupapa for
do it to all of that. That's it. Give us visualization 10 years from now. What do you hope life looks like for Ari Grant? Or it might be Ari something else by then. Might be Ari Rajesh.
What is Ari going to be doing? I know that I'll still be in this space. I really would like to. What I see is me being able to do what I do in other countries and to be able to connect with other indigenous cultures and
is that a word? Indigeneity?
Well, being able to help people connect to themselves, but also incorporate and thread through their own indigeneity. So, for example, I'm going to do a retreat next year in Hawaii, and when I do that, I want to ensure that the Hawaiian culture is woven in, and wherever I go, I want. The
breeders come, or is this an aunties only retreat?
At the moment, it's aunties only, but we'll see how we go with the mixed ones.
We can identify, can't we?
Fast there, so maybe we should do a mixed one. But I want to be traveling the world still, but keep my roots in Aotearoa. I want to be in a place where, financially I'm able to have I suppose, set everything up for my future whānau, and I just want to be living my purpose, man. I want to be impacting more lives, and I want to know that I'm leaving a legacy behind, and that my children, if I don't have children, kei te pai, but that the people that I help carry on that legacy. That's my goal. So I'm kind of open to what that looks like, but I do want to travel. I do want to be, experiencing being able to help people at a global scale. And I just want to make the best impact that I can on the world. And I have the audacity to think that I can.
Yeah, as you should. What you can achieve is only limited by the scope of your ambition. So I want to see you carve all that up. Travel. Top 3 destinations you would like to travel to that you haven't seen or been to yet.
I'm intrigued about Portugal.
Oh,
it's more just like it looks like it'll be just a meantime. I find
like the Algarves and that. Yeah,
Portugal I just vibes. Feel like it'll be such a fun vibe. But also, I've always said to myself, I'd love to go to South America. There's something about Colombia, Brazil, Chile.
Colombia's on.
Yeah, those places. I have been.
You ever get to Cartagena? Cartagena, man, that's a spot.
I have not.
Yeah, Colombia's on in Cartagena. Buzzy. Yeah. Oh, no, actually, Colombia's cool anyway. Like, if you go in the mountains, go to Medellin, and that's so good. But yeah, Colombia's all because I think it's cool because like you're in the Caribbean, so it's beautiful as turquoise water. There's like cobblestone streets. It's Sort of you're in fucking Spain somewhere, but then they got the Latin Cayenne music vibes and and then there's also a modern city there. It's pretty cool.
So probably that, and then keeping it low key. I haven't actually been to like the South Pacific, so I'd love to sort of go to the islands. Like,
I thought you live in the South Pacific.
In Tahiti, New Zealand, I've been, and Hawaii, but I haven't actually gotten to see.
Oh yeah, some of the our other island brothers and sisters.
I'd love to, go to those islands too.
Superpowers, in the realm of superpowers, if you could choose one, what superpower would you choose and why? Or even create one if you want to make one up. We've had a few of those.
I want to fly. That's just a selfish one. I wish I could. As a kid, I used to dream that I could fly, and I believed that I could. And the feeling of being able to fly felt so good when I was little. But also in a figurative way, when you're up in the air, or when you're sort of seeing things from above, you're able to see things from a higher perspective. And so there's a lot of beauty that you don't get to see when you're on the ground, but when you come up there, you can really see it all. So.
I like it. So it's not just like, so I can go here and here and here faster. It's there's a vision for it all. I like it. That's on. Ah, cool reasoning, kai. I'm guessing you eat kai. I don't know what kai, but if you could choose one meal for the rest of your life, one meal, not a food, but a meal, every day of your life for the rest of your days, and you're probably going to live another 300 years the way you're going. Would you? Well, what kai would you choose and why? What meal are you going for every day?
This is a bit of a boring answer, but I love me like a mean ass salad with all the things in it.
Give me an example then. What is in the salad?
Honestly, this is kind of how I eat anyway. But
okay, a bit of a rabbit.
Like a good sort of like an Asian mix, but also throwing in some. I'm thinking, man, people are going to listen to this and be like, what? But I love a bit of halloumi, bit of feta. I love some capsicum, olives, pickles, everything. All the things in there. Some seeds, and then some good protein. Like, I'd probably choose fish.
So you're not a vegan.
No. But I do like steak and all that, but I get sick of it. So fish, I'd probably go with that.
Yeah, the fresh salad there. Well, Asian mix.
For the people that know me, they know that this is how I eat anyway. So.
So that's it. So and what would you wash it down with?
Kombucha.
Oh, good. There we go. There we go, guys.
Yeah. Please.
Any advice for anybody wanting to get into the same space as yourself? Obviously, you'll be talking to your competitors, but hey, there's enough air for us all to breathe. There's enough kai for us all to eat.
Exactly. There's space for everyone. Any advice? Go on your own journey too. Make sure to go on your own journey too. And there is no way that it's supposed to go. You get to define it in your own unique way, and your uniqueness is what sets you apart.
Kia ora. I think it could be applied to a lot of shit. This is taking on. Kia ora. Oh, I just want to say, Ari, not Ari. Time is the most valuable commodity we have as human beings. The one thing we can never get back, we can always get back. Money, things, but time spent is time lost. So thank you for sharing over an hour and 30 minutes of your time with me and anyone that listens to this for years to come. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope this isn't the last time we sit down. Maybe one day we can sit down and have a bloody salad, even though it's not really my favorite thing, but we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go for the great Ari.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching this full episode of Mind the Mic. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to create these episodes. So to know that you've watched and listened to the entire thing means the world to myself and all our hosts. If you could, before you leave, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode out to as many people as possible. It would help us so much. Thank you again to everybody that's still here, still watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your shares, all the DMs. Appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome night, depending on where you are in the world. Mind the mic out.
Oi, have you hit the link in bio yet?
Watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all streaming platforms.